The Wayfaring Sailor. What is it called?
Wayward.
The Wayward Sailor.
Are you excited?
Wayward. Yes.
I don't know anything about it.
Are you feeling a little spooky?
Not even a little bit.
Do you like insects?
I thought you were going to say
Me too.
insects.
Yes, I love insects.
Do you like...
I saw a centipede just yesterday.
Do you like crows, animals of such? Witchcraft.
Yes.
Wizardry?
No wizardry.
Witchcraft.
This actually, okay, you know how big of a Harry Potter fan I am, okay? Yeah. This made me want to be a witch more than anything I've ever read in Harry Potter.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. This book transcends multiple centuries.
Whoa.
Okay?
Good luck.
So, and it describes the lives of 3 women.
Witches?
Women. How are their lives connected?
Through
We
witchcraft.
will find out.
3 women. Witches. Women can just be women and not witches.
Also,
Oh.
this book is not kind to men.
Oh.
Good.
So you're going to have to shut your mouth.
Everything's not about you, Adam.
Well, debatable. Just kidding.
3 different women. We have Altha. She is in 1619. What happened in the 1600s?
Salem witch trials.
Yes. This is actually in England, so it's just like...
Witch trials.
Yes. Okay.
Salem guaranteed was in England before it was in Massachusetts.
There's a whole history about where it kind of started. This talks about how King James is like, witches, get 'em, blah, blah, blah. So, I don't know what started first, but 1619, pretty damn early.
Alpha.
Altha. A-L-T-H-A.
Why?
Not alpha.
Why do they do that?
They're from Utah.
Also, don't come for Altha. You know nothing about her.
I can say Alpha. Alpha. And I hate myself every day because of it.
So first we have Altha, 1619, being tried for being a witch.
Ooh.
Grace, her best friend from childhood, is a witness on the stand. So the prosecution is starting. Grace's mother was sick when they were 13. Now Altha's like 21. Grace came to her mother and Altha saying, please help, because they are known for their healing remedies. Grace's mother ends up dying.
Oh.
They did all they could do. Her father really blames them. So years pass, and now Altha is being tried for the murder of Grace's husband.
Whoa.
She is sitting up on the stand, and it's classic, like, burn her, hang her, all the villagers are against her.
Wait,
Okay.
what do they say in Princess Bride?
Boo, rubbish,
Yes.
filth, muck. Yes, exactly. So Grace is on the stand, and she just tells the story of what happened. Her husband was trampled by his cows.
Oh.
Okay, so he gone.
He gone.
You could say he was ground beef.
You could say that, but should one? The reason they think it's Altha is because she comes running to Grace
Oh.
moments after it happened.
Did she
Wrong
Okay.
witness
place,
it?
wrong time.
She basically did, yeah.
I'd run to someone too.
So she witnessed it, and she runs to Grace, okay? The farm hand boy was also there, etc. So they somehow think she controls cows, and
Reasonable assumption.
What a power.
but then the doctor gets on, and he's like, well, witches have to touch the body, or what, like all these witch,
Lore.
yes, things. And he's like, but she never touched the body. And the prosecutor's like, doesn't she have a witch mark on her chest? And they like make her strip down in front of everybody.
No.
And the doctor says, yes, I did see a witch mark. But when she strips down, he's like, actually, that's not what it was before. That looks more just like a pox or something. Like, I don't think that's a witch mark. So the prosecution's like,
Good job, doctor.
dang it. Okay?
Yeah,
This
Lord
is
Team Doctor.
hypocritical.
But Altha did have a mark there, and she cut it out of herself in her cell
Ow.
because she knows that that would be a witch mark.
Way to go,
Okay.
Alpha.
What? Ow.
Yeah.
Not
Why
that-
are we condoning this?
Not
She's gonna
dying.
save her life. There's Alpha.
She is badass.
Mm-hmm. Right
Turns
on
out
her.
if you have a zit, you're a witch.
I'm screwed.
Acne.
Now, Kate is our second person. She is in 2019.
I was just about to say, what a normal name.
Mm.
But
That's
it's
400 years later.
Yep.
In case anyone was wondering.
quick math.
Okay, so
Yep.
Kate is in the middle of running away from her very abusive husband.
Dang.
You
Okay.
go, girl. Get out of there.
The husband's name is Simon. We hate him.
I'll say.
All right.
And what does Simon say?
Simon says a lot of awful things. She's leaving from London to this cottage that her great aunt left her, and she's like super grateful for it because Simon doesn't know about this. It's like the only thing he does not know about is that her great aunt left her this cottage. Finds out that she is pregnant.
Ugh, of course she does.
Okay. So she's like, there's no way that I am letting this child be around this man. I have to go. It's time. She gets to the cottage, and the word Weyward is on the stone in front of the cottage. Okay. She used to love animals and nature and when she was a little girl, but when she was 9 years old, her dad was taking her to school. A crow flew across, and she was like, oh, enamored by it. A truck comes. Her dad pushes her out of the way, and her dad
Oh
passes away.
my goodness.
So she's like, no more nature, no, none of that. It's not safe, and it was my fault. Okay, so she has a lot of guilt about
Remind
that.
me this one's name.
Kate.
Kate.
She calls her mom. Her mom lives in Canada. She got remarried. Doesn't want her to be worried, but she tells her about the baby, and she's like, Violet, dad's aunt, so her great aunt on her dad's side, left her this cottage. This is where she is. She really starts hearing animals again, like she used to when she was little. She'll be sitting there and she can like hear mice in the attic, or like a dragonfly outside, but the windows are closed. Like she can like hear things, and it kind of freaks her out. And there's crows around, and she's just like, it's kind of triggering a little bit.
yeah, traumatizing.
She also finds an old grave under a big oak tree, and it just says R.I.P. So she's like, I wonder who's buried there. Like, she has no clue where all this comes from, okay? She finds a necklace with a W on it. And
Weyward.
she's assuming. She goes to the attic, and she finds letters from a Rupert to an Elizabeth. Okay? And
Those are new characters.
and Rupert's letters remind her of Simon. Of like, I must have you, like very possessive.
What would it be like to read somebody else's life, like read about it through like a journal?
I know.
I know, it's
That's a
crazy.
dream. That'd be cool.
That's a dream.
Yeah, to go to like a thrift store and find this old journal, and you're like, Rebecca? Who's Rebecca? And it like tells you all the things.
Now I want to do that.
I should write. My life's very boring, but but I could do that and then just set it in a thrift store shelf.
Should we just make up a juicy story?
Yeah, this whole diary full of stuff. Goes to the doctor for baby appointment. Here's heartbeat, but would like information on how to not have the baby because it's Simon's. Like she's not sure how she feels about it. The ladies in the waiting room really, really judged her for that, and they're like, "She's a wayward, isn't she?" Oh, typical. Like she's a witch, just like the first one, or whatever.
It's 2019, you old hags. Give me a break. She was a witch just like her sister. Give me a
But
break.
yeah, it's a small town, but yes, essentially the vibe there. And so that makes her more curious. Like, what? Like, who were the Waywards? Like, am I from them? What's my history? Etc. So then we have Violet. Violet was her father's aunt, remember?
Yes.
Who left her the cottage. Okay, Violet is living in 1942. So it's like Alpha, Violet. Okay, we don't know all the other women who came before.
In 300 years.
Write down
The day.
She has never been allowed to leave her home autumn something hall. So she lives in this big, I pictured it kind of like Downton Abbey. Like, she's 16. She's been growing apart from her brother Graham. She has a horrible father. Her mother is gone. And she loves, what does she love? Animals and insects. Okay.
Interesting.
She, like, has a pet spider. And, like she'll say, oh, I feel so alone today. And she hears, like, a damselfly. And she's like, hi, friend. She doesn't know anything about her mother except that she was a little bit strange. Okay?
Peculiar.
She has a cousin who is coming to stay. His name is Frederick, and he has been fighting in war. Her father loves war, is all obsessed with it. So excited for their cousin to come. He says, hey, don't be weird and stay inside while Frederick is here, or I'm going to send you off to school somewhere.
Saying don't be weird and stay inside? Or
Don't
be weird, please stay inside.
She takes it as stay inside because she gets weird when she goes outside, because then that's where all her friends are. Okay? So she's like, okay, I don't want to go to finishing school or whatever. I'll keep it in check. And she's like curious. She literally hasn't ever seen another man besides like a servant, besides her father and her brother. Like very, very naive and sheltered. Yes, in this box. Okay. Cousin comes. He's rather handsome. He has these big green eyes. And she kind of shuts down while he's here and while she's resigning herself, so she doesn't hear the insects like she used to, and she doesn't like hear nature. And Graham is a sweetheart. He's like a 14-year-old kid, and he notices this about her, and so he like brings her a damselfly in a jar. Aww. And he's like, I hate these things, but I got it for you because I know you love them, and it's very sweet. Okay? We love Graham. So,
what's a damselfly?
A damselfly, I don't know, but a damselfly is,
Are there different kinds of flies besides like horsefly and like housefly?
There is. It's kind of in a dragonfly family where it hatches and lives in the water for a bit and then flies around and lays eggs flying around, etc. I learned about that at the botanical center because I love insects. It's my jam.
Nerd. Awesome.
Yes.
Unless there's a spider in the house.
Ooh.
Then it's...
No, spiders are not bad.
Adam handled this.
Not after this book. I'll be like, hey, Reggie. Welcome.
Reginald Fairfield.
Hey,
Reggie.
She is in her room, and she, like, is looking for her spider friend. So she moves the cabinet, and on the floor, scratched in, is the name Weyward. Okay? She's like, what?
I'm a Weyward too?
She doesn't know. So she goes looking in her father's study. In one of his drawers, she finds a crow's feather. Okay? And it kind of has white streaks in it. And she's like, I think this was my mother's, because it also is like wrapped in this handkerchief with E.W., which were her mother's initials. Elizabeth Weyward. Okay? Elizabeth. She takes the feather and she just starts really being like, oh my gosh, my mother was weird too. She liked animals too, and things start coming back to her and she gets back to her old self. The cousin comes, he's kind of friendly. He kind of tells her about her mom because he came when he was like 10 or something like that. And he just said, yeah, she stayed away a lot. I didn't see her a whole lot. They were worried that she would harm the baby.
Ooh.
And she said, but I thought she died in childbirth with Graham. But if Graham was the baby, that means she did not die in childbirth. So she's like, again, what?
What?
So then she is on a walk with her father and Graham and Frederick, and she is like, I wonder if he likes bugs, or I wonder if he likes the sunset or whatever. He doesn't give a crap. And she's like,
he just likes war.
She's like, did you know mayflies only live one day? What would you do if you had a day? And she's like, I would do this. And he says, well, I know what I would do. And he kisses her.
They're cousins, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
He kisses her and she's like, That was what a kiss was?
They're
Okay.
cousins.
Like, that shouldn't,
That was actually my first thought when I had my first kiss.
Nice.
I was like, that's what kissing
Like,
is?
that's what the buzz is all about.
My first thought when I heard that was, this book really is about incest.
His cousins is not incest.
It's not bad. It's not far. How far distant cousins
it's
are
not.
It's the 1940s. I didn't write the book.
Okay.
And he's a creep.
Oh, okay.
That's Violet. Okay, Alpha. We're back to Alpha.
Okay.
1619. The father of Grace, Mr. Metcalf, remember how he blamed her mother and her for the passing of his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, got a bone to pick, okay? So he's up on the stand now. And he's like, they are living alone in this cottage. Women shouldn't be without men. The mother clearly slept with Satan, and this is the product of that union. That's Satan's child, etc.
Wow. Mr. Metcalf, please.
Please. So everyone's like, yeah. She notices that there's one juror who is always kind of looking at her in like pity and is very quiet when everyone else is like fists and everything, okay? She thinks she's going to be sentenced for sure, but she is declared not guilty.
Good job,
Because
juror
of
number
that
7.
one juror, yeah.
Okay, so she is declared not guilty, and the first face she wants to see is Grace's.
Oh.
Okay. She gets released, and the juror finds her after a little bit and says, I almost lost my wife and child, and if it weren't for this healing woman, I would have lost them, and she was tried as a witch several years ago and did not make it. So, like, I tried my best, and he gives her some money. Okay? So, good guy there. She gets back to her cottage, and it's kind of like ransacked. Like, the villagers kind of were like,
She's gonna
screw
be hot
you.
anyway.
Yeah. So, but she still has a couple of her animals. She's like, nope, I'm gonna stay. I don't know if they're still gonna come for me and be done with me anyway, but I'm gonna stay. This is my home. She wants to start writing her story of what really happened in case she does get taken by the villagers or whatever. Okay, so she starts writing her story. Moving on to Kate. Do you remember what Kate was dealing with?
Yeah, Simon.
So she is all curious about the Weyward stuff, right? And she wanted information about not having her baby. But she decides not to go through with the procedure. She feels like it's a little girl, like she starts feeling like more confident as time goes on. She decides to go up to the old Autumn Hall, or whatever it's called, the old house up there, because she knows a man is living up there and she wants more information about her family. The man, decrepit little old man, opens the door. He has these bright green eyes.
It's Graham.
And he's kind of like in and out of it with his memory. And she's like, okay, I'd just like some information. And what does he say? He's like, yes, come on in. Leads her up to the study, Violet's father's study. And the place is disgusting. It is covered with insect wings and insect bodies and like smells of insect repellent. And they go in the study and she can tell that this is the only place he lives. And the windows are all boarded up. What is this guy doing? Am I safe here? Etc. He keeps saying, they're gone, they're finally gone. This August she let me go at last. Okay, and she's like, this guy, he's not really going to help me at all. So
He is gone senile.
and he sees something she's wearing that was Violet's. I think it was the necklace. And he says, get out, get out. Loses it. Okay, so she runs out of there. Didn't get many answers. Finds more of Violet's journals and Violet's books in this cottage, and she learns about Alpha a little bit. And she's like, you know what? I am so done with Simon. Her regular hair is really dark, like almost black, but he had her be blonde.
Mm.
So it's growing out. She like chops it to the roots. Like,
Oh, whoa.
she's like, I'm done. And so she is like, hey, I know I'm a part of this family. I know I'm changing. Gets rid of all her old life stuff and goes and asks for a job in the bookshop with Violet's friend, Emily.
Oh my gosh, this is my dream.
Yes. Her mother calls and is like, I'm coming when you're having the baby. She's going to have the baby in the winter. I'm planning on coming. What do you need? Like, and she's like, well, I really need a pram or a stroller. But it's like so expensive, etc. Her mom's like, no, I'm going to send you the money. You pick one out and you buy it. She's like, oh, thank you, Mom, so much. She buys it, but she uses her old email.
Oh, no.
That is connected to her old phone.
Oh, no.
And she realizes it pretty quickly, but freaks out that he now
Kind of
knows.
yeah.
Because it's a baby pram, and she sent it to her address. Like, worst case scenario.
Does not take a genius to figure that out.
Yes. Freaks out, but goes into her old email, looks for it, like, deletes it. She's like, okay, I think I caught it in time. I think I'm good. Kind of relaxes a little bit. Okay?
We'll see.
That's going to come into play later.
All right, now we have Violet. She just got kissed by a creepy cousin. Frederick, Graham, Father, Violet are all like playing this game on the lawn, okay? Because Frederick's there. They have some lemonade, and Frederick says, have some of this in it, and he puts brandy in her drink.
Okay.
Naive girl.
How old is she again?
16. He starts like kind of like, yeah, it's better with it, huh? And everything, okay? Graham and her father fall asleep.
Oh no.
And Frederick says, let's go for a walk. Remember we wanted to go for a walk? She's like, okay. Totally not all there with it because she's 16 having her first drink like ever. And a little bug comes and bites her cheek. She's like, ow. Like,
Bug's got her back, though.
I have never been bitten or stung in my life. Like, what? And we take it as a warning. Like, hey, wake up. This is not okay. But she can't, really. And goes for a walk. Awful, awful, awful.
Oh no. No.
We
No.
know that he
No.
takes advantage of her. Okay? It's awful.
Why don't the bugs take him out?
Yeah.
No. She experiences that, and it is just awful for her. So she very much shuts down completely. He, being the person that he is, leaves the next day with no goodbye to her or anything. After a few days, she decides the only thing that would make her feel better is for her body to be with nature and for her to not feel anything anymore. So she goes and she writes a letter to Graham and her father and her nanny and stuff and wants to go jump out the window.
Oh no.
But when she's about to do it, a little damselfly flies right in her vision and like distracts her, and Graham comes in and doesn't really like take in what is actually happening, but he's like, I hope you're not lovesick over that guy. He wasn't like a creep, like just kind of like talks to her, and so she doesn't do anything. She realizes that I could never leave Graham with our father all alone, and if I leave this body now, I'll never find anything about my mother. So she's like, I can do this. Doctor comes a month or so later. She's pregnant. And her father is obviously furious with her. Takes her to a cottage her mother used to own. She stays for several days, and she finds the letters, the same letters Kate found from Rupert. Now she knows that's her father. Rupert to Elizabeth. And she just really knows, oh my gosh, I am a Weyward. This is my mother's home. Okay. He comes every other day with like food. And he says, he wrote Frederick, he's going to come back and marry you. And she's like, the hell with that. I'm not about that.
Good for her.
All right. Alpha, 1619. She writes in her book that she's writing that Grace came to see her about a year ago. Asks for something that will stop her being pregnant. Okay. And Alpha warns her, like, this is going to be extremely painful. It could hurt you. And she says, I don't care. Gives it to her. She takes it. The next time she sees Grace, she's really badly bruised all over.
Oh
And
no.
Grace tells her, my husband hurts me whenever I lose a baby. And she says, because he hurts me, not only then, but whenever I do something wrong, I am not bringing a child into that home. I'm not bringing his child into the world as long as he lives. Alpha is just like so worried for her, and like checks in on her secretly and like goes and climbs a tree and watches the farm. She's like, there's another way we can handle this. And she's like, no, you would for sure get hanged. I might get hanged. The doctor's gonna know it's poison. Like, we can't do it. My husband's perfectly healthy. There's nothing we can do. Alpha, when she's writing, she's starting to talk about her mother and her relationship with her mother and their different gifts. She talks about how her mother said the first wayward child is always a girl with a gift. So, Kate, now 2019, the man in the manor house is moving into a nursing home, and so she's given these old papers and belongings from Violet and everything. And so she finds the note that Violet left to Graham and her when she tried to jump out of the window. So she like, oh my gosh, okay, I know that she was pregnant, and starts like understanding Violet a little bit more. She wants to know more answers, and so she drives to this nursing home, and of course her hair is dark now, and so she gets there and he's like, no, you're her, get out. And the nurses are like, lady, you're causing a scene, like, please leave. He does not want to see you.
You're making my life harder.
Yes. So she leaves, and of course she's driving home, and this freak snowstorm comes out of nowhere. She crashes her car. She's terrified that the baby is not okay, and car won't start. She starts to freak out a little bit, and she hears her name being called, and she actually realizes that it's a crow.
Kate.
Kate! I almost did but Kate! That's a chicken.
Kate!
She starts to really embrace nature again. She's starting to, so she's like, I know in my bones that if I follow this crow, I'm going to be okay. So she straight up walks through these wintry woods and follows this crow and makes it back home.
Whoa.
Emily from the bookshop comes and takes care of her, and she goes to the doctor. Baby is fine. Car's in the shop, super pregnant. And then she gets a call and hurries and answers it because she thinks it's her mom. And all she hears is, I found you.
Mother effer.
I just got chills myself.
Frickin' Simon.
She hurries and hangs up the phone, and he texts her and says, I will see you very soon.
Run away! Run away!
Snowstorm.
Ugh. She doesn't have a car. Emily's not there anymore. She freaks out.
Trust your animal
We're going
instincts,
to pause there. Okay?
Cliffhanger.
I know.
What is he gonna do to her?
What hasn't he done to her?
Oh, okay.
Okay, Violet. She is in the cottage, and she finds Alpha's book of writings. And a lot of it is different treatments for things and different healing stuff. And it's in there of how to stop being pregnant. Okay? She is obviously very, very traumatized by her experience and just wants this out of her. She just thinks it's just him, and she just wants it done. And she obviously doesn't want to marry him either. So she takes something, and right after it's all happened and she's bleeding and everything, Graham comes. He says, I found your letter that you wrote earlier, and I'm so sorry that this is happening. I overheard Father talking to the doctor. I found out where you were, and I'm coming to warn you that he's coming here with the doctor. And he obviously can see what has happened. So he takes all of her rags and clothing and everything that just happened and goes and buries it under the tree in the yard. Her father and the doctor show up, and Graham says she lost the baby like just now. And the doctor says, yeah, it looks to me like that's the case. And her dad doesn't believe her.
Whoa.
He's like, you 1000% did something. Like, and doctor leaves, and he says, I'm sending you off to Scotland to this finishing school, and then I'll decide what to do with you after that. And she says, no, you're not.
Good job, Violet.
She finally says, you have no power over me anymore. And Graham's like, yeah, I'm staying too. And it's so cute.
Graham's like 14 or something.
Yes. She's just filled with rage. And all of a sudden, this swarm of bees comes in.
Got it.
And surrounds her dad and forces him out. Okay? And she doesn't see him after that. Then, Graham still leaves to school. And she is healing and in this cottage. But she feels peace with what's happened. She gets a letter from Frederick saying, hey, just so you know, your father passed away of a heart attack, and he left everything to me because he said in his will that you and Graham are not his biological children.
Oh.
And she's like, well, that's a lie, but whatever. So he left everything to Frederick. So
Is it actually a lie?
Frederick is the old man in the house. And in his letter, he says, but you can have the cottage like it's yours. And she's like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. She's like, this is my mother's home. Mm-hmm. This is not yours to give. Her now only real regret now is because she found Alpha's book and has been fully reading it. She knows that every first child of a wayward woman is a girl. So she knows that the child she no longer has was a girl. And she's just like, I feel like my child and my time and my choice of when I had her was taken from me. And so she's just so done and furious and mad. And so she pictures the house completely run over by insects and decay, and all of her father's things in decay and all this stuff, and it happens. Okay?
So why is Frederick still there?
The hell if I know. I don't know. But he's like cursed. Like, the house is that way until Violet passes away. Graham actually comes back from school and he says, it doesn't matter about Dad and his money. I have a scholarship and I'm going to be a lawyer, and when I'm a rich lawyer, I'm going to send you to school so you can learn about your bugs and stuff.
I love Graham.
Thanks. I love Graham. Okay.
Graham's a cute name.
I know, I've always thought that. Last bit on Alpha. Alpha continues to watch Grace, and she actually witnesses her husband hurting her.
Oh.
She's just like so done and feels so powerless. Right around New Year's, the son of the butcher in town comes and gives her a gift for the new year. And he's always been very nice. And he says, oh, I just went by the Weyward farm and Grace told me to give you this. And it's this present, an orange and things like that. But the way she wrapped it was telling Alpha, I'm pregnant again. Okay. So she knows, and she knows that it's time to do something. She is just filled with like this tingly power, rage. She's like, I have to stop this cycle. And so she starts going to the farm, as she often does right in the early morning. And she has her mother's crow flies by with the kind of white feathers. It's like the crow with the mark or whatever. So she says and pictures in her mind what she wants to have happen, and the crow like kind of like touches her on her forehead or something, and is like, all right, I got you. So she goes and can see the whole field and the house and everything, but she is in the shadows. And the cows are already kind of on edge because it's cold and they're just cows. And the crow agitates them. And the cows just kind of go a little bit crazy and trample.
So she was guilty.
So she did have a hand in it, you could say. So then once it happens...
So wait, time out. Did
Yes.
Grace press charges?
No.
So why did it go to trial? Because they thought it was
Because
witchcraft.
she came, because
Grace
Grace
was-
comes out, sees it, screams, and the farmer boy is there and everything, and Alpha just happens to be there, and so they're like, oh, she's
That's
a witch.
weird. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Satanic panic.
So, she goes, she helps Grace. Once the farm, she says, go get the doctor to the farmhand, and she turns to Grace and she says, it's done. Like, it's done, you can have this baby. Then the whole trial happens. Now she's back at her cottage, and she's writing, and she says, whoever reads this can decide whether I'm guilty or whether I did the right thing. She's like, but as for me, I have no guilt.
Yeah. As for me in my house.
Yes. And Grace has her baby, and Alpha actually, she's like, she knows that she doesn't want to get married or be in a relationship with a man, but she wants her line to continue. So she is friends with the butcher's son.
The candlestick maker.
Yes. And they
Fuck.
basically, like, sleep together, okay? But, like, she's like, no commitment or anything. And we get the idea that she gets pregnant from that and continues the line. You can get the sense that Alpha's at peace and she raises her daughter and it's all is well and happy for Alpha.
Alright, yay, Alpha.
Okay?
Yay.
Now we got Kate. So, she freaks out. She just got that text. Creepy text. I will see you very soon. It's not that far of a drive from London. Like, she has no idea how close he is. So, she climbs up into the attic. She's, like, very pregnant at this point, right? Climbs up into the attic and, like, pulls the ladder up, like, as he's getting there. And knocking on the door. I know you're in there.
Send the bees.
Well, she doesn't know much yet, right? She doesn't know as much as Violet would even know, right? So she keeps calling Emily and keeps trying to text her. My ex-husband is here. Like, please help, send cops. And
Here's another idea. You could call 911.
Well, she tries that too. There's very limited service in the attic. And so every call keeps dropping. Every text she tries to send says, not sent. But just tries to stay very quiet. He comes in the house and is looking all around. So while she's up there, she sees kind of like this cabinet, like this hidden cabinet with a W on it.
Oh.
And she's like fiddling with her necklace with the same exact font W. And it actually pops open. And there's a little note in it that says, I hope she helps you like she helped me.
Oh.
And finds out that the locket kind of turns into a key. I pictured, like, in...
Princess Diaries?
Yes.
Me too!
Yes. Princess Diaries, where she opens her locket and it's the key to the diary. It's amazing. So it's kind of like that. And she finds Alpha's writing. She's like, this book is hundreds of years old. Like...
Spell book.
Yes. So during those hours of her just being quiet, she starts to read a little bit more and find out more of what she's capable of. And as she's learning this, she's kind of filled with more rage and more power. So done being trapped by this man. And she hears what sounds like a hailstorm.
Oh.
And it's actually crows. It's hundreds of crows have come and are on the cottage, and they're pecking at the windows and pecking at the doors.
Wow.
And he starts freaking out, because that would be freaky.
I would be so scared.
So he starts freaking out, and so she climbs down from the attic, and she says, like, enough. So she gets down, and she says his name, and he turns around, and he's, like, furious, okay? And he ends up pushing her up against the wall, has his hand on her throat. She can't breathe, but she opens her eyes and just looks at him, and she says, now. All the doors and windows fly open. Sparrows, starlings, bees, mayflies, damselflies, worms, like everything come into the house. and he like loosens his grasp and freaks out, and they start scratching at him.
Whoa.
They start pecking
Whoa.
him. They peck out one of his eyes,
Ew.
and he's like, oh my gosh, and is so scared and runs out. Then all the animals, once they're gone, they just like leave. Like
Oh.
it was like,
My work here's done.
well, it's a Tuesday night. Like, they just leave. And there's feathers and blood and glass all over the floor. And she says, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Whoa.
Okay.
Okay. She's free. She finally feels free.
But blood?
Yes, his blood. And she...
Can you imagine him going to the hospital? What happened to your eye? Well, there's some crows and some bees.
It's like Jess and Gilmore Girls where he gets beat up by a goose or something, or a swan, and he doesn't want to tell anybody. So, right shortly after that, the police arrive with Emily,
Oh.
and we find that her last text actually went through.
Oh, good.
Make sure she's okay. The cops go after him. He ends up going to prison for a while. But Emily is like, are you worried that he's going to come back when he gets out? She says no. She's like, I know exactly who I am and what power I have. Like, I'm not scared of him anymore.
That's awesome.
Her mom comes shortly after and helps her have the baby. It's a beautiful baby girl. She names Violet Alpha.
Aww.
Okay, and she also learns that the baby buried in the tree was Violet's. So she's just so excited to show this baby girl the wonders of the world and her power in it. And it's just very, like, hopeful. And we love Kate. Now, Violet. Let's wrap up her story, shall we? She's living in the cottage, right? Graham comes and goes from school, but always comes back, and they always write. She kind of tends to people's beehives in the villages and, like, gets a little job and starts really to, like, grow into herself and know her power and learn things from Alpha's book and everything. Then it flashes forward to Graham's funeral many years later, and she sees his granddaughter, Kate.
Oh.
And she sees her raven black hair, and she's, like, talking to this bumblebee, and she just knows, like, that's a Weyward girl. And she feels such gratitude that the line continued. And she's just, like, so grateful that it didn't end with her. And
Why did it do that?
Why did it do that?
So because if Graham was the grandpa of Kate.
Because Graham was still Elizabeth Weyward's son. So it's still the Weyward bloodline.
But who was... So, and Kate's mom had powers too then?
No.
So
It just
picked
came
Kate.
out. Yeah, it's just picked up again. So then she's nearing the end of her life, and I'm leaving a lot of stuff out, but go read the book yourself and find it out. She knows that she's like, I can feel my body starting to pass away and wither away and things. So she does her will, and she leaves everything to Kate. And she leaves the note in the locket saying, I hope she helps you as much as she helped me. Leaves it in her jewelry box where Kate finds it. She feels just very tired, and a damselfly lands on her hand, and it's just beautiful. And the book ends with the quote, the connections between and among women are the most feared and most problematic and the most potentially transforming force on the planet. By Adrienne Rich. And it's just like, it's just so good.
It's a great book.
It's a great book, huh?
Great.
Go women.
Seriously.
Girl power.
It's so cool. And it's like witches in a way I've never heard about before. It's very cool. Like if I had powers, I would want those powers.
It does make me want to be a witch.
Yes.